The Agroclimatic Resilience in Semi-Arid Landscapes, ACReSAL, is a federal government of Nigeria intervention project in the 19 northern states and the FCT. The project is supported by the World Bank with a core mandate to restore 1 million hectares of degraded land and to address harmful agricultural practices that lead to low productivity output and poor living standards in communities. Since its inauguration in June 2022, ACReSAL has executed several projects across the participating states and the FCT, and the impacts are being felt across the strata. We take a tour across states where ACReSAL is executing life-impacting projects. Join us as we take a tour through Gombe, Yobe, Bauchi, Katsina, Jigawa, Kaduna, Plateau, and Niger states. Katsina and Jibia are two economically relevant cities in Katsina State, yet the two important cities have been serially ravaged by floods, resulting in loss of lives and properties worth billions of naira. About 234 locations in Katsina State had been affected by floods, resulting in internal displacement of people across all 17 local government areas of the state. The floods affected 123,377 individuals in 16,563 households.
Mun fuskanci matsalar hamadar ruwa da yawan faduwar gidaje. Ko da yaushe idan damana ta zo muna fargabar wannan ruwa yana shiga mana a gidaje yana kada mana bangaye. Ko ƴaƴanmu ma in za su makaranta saboda idan aka ruwa ba za mu bar su je ba saboda ba hanyar wucewa.
32% of the affected houses were found to be habitable but in need of repair, while 17% were partially damaged and 10% were completely ruined. Farm products worth over 500 million naira and over 1 billion naira worth of houses and other properties were lost to floods every year. It's the same experience in Kofar Durbi, where farmers lose over 1.4 billion naira worth of farm produce every year to flooding along Kofar Durbi-Kofar Sauri River.
Anytime the rain is about to start, we have psychological trauma, knowing that anytime it rains, there will be some devastation on one farm or the other. One thing was certain, on a yearly basis, one part of the farm or the other, the wall caves in, it comes down. So we have to rebuild. Some other times, our chicken pens get flooded. We lose chickens that you can't do anything about. Our children, sometimes on days that we have heavy rains, we stop them from coming to school for their own safety.
Understanding the dire need for effective drainage systems, Katsina ACReSAL initiated the construction of modern drainages across flood-prone areas of Katsina. The project aimed to manage floodwaters and to protect the lives and properties of the residents of the people along these corridors in Katsina and Jibia. The project is a 16-month project that started in November 2023 and is expected to be completed in May 2025. The project in Katsina covers over 9 kilometers and has recovered 2,049.56 hectares of land, with 568,600 direct beneficiaries, which include 59.2% female and 50.8% male.
Mun gode ma Allah, wannan wuri da aka yi mama alhamdulillah mun ji daɗin shi gaskiya 100%. Da muna samun ambaliyar ruwa wanda in mun yi noman nan yana ma kan muna yin asara. Ni asara sosai. To amma yanzu alhamdulillah mun gode ma Allah da aka zo aka yi mama wannan gyara. Mun ji daɗi mun yi farin ciki.
With the project 80% completed, the affected communities are excited to be part of life again. The Nguru wetland is a vital part of the Hadeja Nguru wetlands in Yobe State, Nigeria. Nguru wetland once thrived as a rich ecosystem supporting diverse aquatic life, wildlife, and human activities, contributing 6% of Nigeria's inland fish catch, valued at $300,000 annually. The wetland covers approximately 3,000 kilometers squared in landmass. But since the late 1970s, the invasive taifa grass has choked this ecosystem, leading to flooding, sedimentation, and devastation. The rapid spread of taifa grass destroyed fishing zones, farmlands, and grazing areas, severely impacting the livelihoods of the local communities. Farmers who used to harvest over 200 bags of rice from 10 hectares were struggling to have a 50-bag yield, while fishermen watched their livelihoods vanish before their very eyes. The wetlands had become a breeding ground for mosquitoes, increasing diseases like malaria and cholera.
We suffered a lot, simply because there is no running water. Most of the farmers deserted away. Moved back to Hadeja, moved back to Gashua. People are nothing to do, more especially the fishermen. Some of them moved to Chad. Some of them changed even the occupation.
Local communities bore the brunt of this ecological collapse. Joblessness, migration, and conflicts between farmers and herders struggling to manage the scarce water resources increased drastically. Recognizing the severity of the problem, the Agroclimatic Resilience in Semi-Arid Landscapes ACReSAL project launched a major intervention to restore the Nguru wetlands. The intervention aims to restore 5,000 hectares of wetlands, covering 8 local government areas. The plan involved dredging, flood control, erosion prevention, and the clearing of taifa grass, coupled with bioremediation and conservation efforts to revitalize the ecosystem. And following consultations with stakeholders, Yobe ACReSAL procured amphibious excavator on May 30th, 2024.
Da bana garin nan ma sakamakon babu ruwa a garin. To amma yanzu Allah ya kawo mana ruwa, Allah ya kawo kuma dalilin wanda suka tona mana ruwa ya zo mana, mun baro inda muke, mun dawo gida, muna sana'armu. Ni dinnan ina da iyali na sun kai kusan guda 9. To amma yanzu cikin ikon Allah na dawo gida, na samu damar da nake dan sama musu abin da za su ci, amma da babu ma abin da za su ci.
At the current stage of the intervention, 385 hectares of wetlands have been cleared, resulting in the revival of economic activities. The intervention directly benefits communities which collectively host over 1 million people.
Da farko muna noma sai kaman for the past 11 years sai ruwa ya zo ya fara samun matsala don kacala da sauran abubuwa. So mun tona boreholes wanda muke bayin gona da shi, muna amfani da tube wells, that is tube well, za mu yi amfani da tube well mu sa injin mai pumping ruwa sai mai bayi. To shi ma abu ne mai wahala tunda yake mai ne za mu yi amfani da shi, ga wahala ga duk abubuwan da matsaloli na rayuwa, ga rayuwa tsadar rayuwa da muke fama da shi. To duk da haka ba mu bari ba, ana nan sai aka zo aka ce ACReSAL za ta zo ta shi intervention akan wannan al'amuran noma da kuma clearing na taifa da za a yi a area mu din. To alhamdulillah da aka yi taifa clearing da aka yi ya kawo mana ci gaba sosai.
People are coming back to resume their former livelihoods, including farmers and fishermen who had abandoned their trades are returning. Over 250 species of plants, 13 species of fish, and 378 bird species are found within the wetlands. So far, the restoration has benefited 59,871 farmers, 15,624 herders, 5,358 fishermen, and 515,969 indirect beneficiaries. Local markets are also experiencing a surge in activity, with traders from neighboring Jigawa state returning due to the cleared waterways. And fishermen are now able to support their families reversing the trends of poverty and malnutrition that had plagued the area. Gombe is one of the northeast states in Nigeria that had been battling with the challenges of gully erosion for a long period of time. In Gombe State, over 200 active gully erosions that expanded every year had devastated key communities, resulting in the destruction of life and property, key infrastructures, and also displacement of people. One of the most affected areas was a 21-kilometer route that comprises 7 low-income communities, which is a stretch along the Federal College of Education and the railway corridors. These affected communities have a population of over 8,640 residents who lived in fear whenever there was any rainfall, as houses, schools, healthcare centers, and public infrastructures were affected. And the consequence was a spike in crime rate within the corridors as a result of this environmental menace. For instance, between 1996 and 2023, 297 lives were lost due to floods along the FCE Gully.
Whenever there's rainfall, we cannot go to the farm. Our children cannot go to school. We cannot go to the market. If this is a shabareda, even if we beg them, they will bill you a lot of money because of the bad road and because of the erosion.
Mu kamo da yaranmu kafin su zo makaranta muna shan wahala sosai. Sannan in mun ga hadiri mukan tada yaran su tafi gida saboda kori. Ba yadda za a yi ko karfe 10 ne za mu tada yaran.
ACReSAL intervention began in 2022 with the aim to promote sustainable landscape management in the state. By December 2023, project was 65% complete, and 65 hectares of degraded land restored, with an additional 35 hectares targeted for restoration by the end of 2024.
Ina ɗaya daga cikin wanda dai aka biya tallafin. So kafin dai a ce wannan abun ya faru gaskiya mun samu matsaloli na matsalar ruwa da abubuwan da yake faruwa a kwaruruka da ya mana na rushe-rushen ɗakuna gidaje. Kamar ma ni iri na ma ɗaki a faɗo a kan ƴata, amma yanzu tun da wannan aiki ya zo gaskiya mun ji daɗi muna farin ciki aiki an yi shi lafiya ko yanzu ma da ba a gama ba ma ba mu sake samun wani matsala na rashin zuwa makaranta ba. Already ma yara yanzu sun fara zuwa ɗin ana kan zuwa school ruwa baya tare su kuma ba. Ko da an yi ruwa ana ɗauke ruwan sama ruwan ƙasa ba zai hana yaro ya wuce ba akwai gada akwai hanya.
A wannan lokacin tare da ACReSAL suka taimaka aka zo aka mana wannan kamar da magabata da suka wuce lallai tabbas wannan gurin yana faruwa ya'yanmu a nan mun sha barin mashinanmu a nan saboda in ruwa ya zo ya shiga kuri da ƙafa ma da ƙyar sai ka tsaya tukun ruwa ya wuce kafin tukun ka tsallaka. To a nan muna nan da gidana in na sa shi a kasuwa a tsanani yayi da zai wuce 200 ba in yayi ya je 300. To ACReSAL ana nan suka zo ɗaure wannan kwarin suka zo suka taimaka ka bani kuɗi mai ɗumbin yawa sosai wanda gidan da na je na canja na siya yanzu haka inda an ce zan mallaki wannan gidan yanzu haka wannan gidan bari iya mallakanta ba.
The intervention has brought significant positive changes to these communities, as over 720 households and 8,640 individuals have been directly protected from destruction, and the economic activities of the people have improved as a result of the intervention. Improved healthcare system. There is also an increase in school enrollment and attendance, as families can now afford to send their children to school without fears of their safety. Niger State is one of the states in Nigeria that has very large expanse of land that naturally make farming the main occupation of the people. Women in the state form a large percentage of farmers who grow groundnuts, cowpeas, soybeans, rice, melon, and maize. But women farmers in the state have been facing a lot of challenges owing to rights to land ownership, paucity of funds to purchase improved seeds, fertilizers, farm implements, and hired labor, thus making it difficult for them to cultivate large hectares of farmland. In Kodo community, for instance, women used to cultivate less than 1 hectare of farmland, and this made it difficult for them to make enough money to cater for their needs. Feeding their children, sending them to school, and even accessing quality health services were impossible. It was on this background that ACReSAL intervened to allay the plight of these women by providing them with basic agricultural incentives to boost their outputs.
Ina nan yaran da Allah ya bani, to ina da ɗan namiji sai Allah ya bashi haihuwa 'ya'ya uku. Da matan ta haifa masa 'ya'ya uku sai ya zo ya kasance bayana. Ya tafi abin shi ban san inda ya je ba. Sai ya rage daga ni sai yaran nan matan ta wuce abinta ita ma uwa kenan. Sai ta bani da yaran nan uku. Ana nan sai Allah ya ɗauki ran guda. Shi suka rage guda biyu. Aka zo na ji labarin aka ce akwai wani ƙungiya na nan wani abin gana nan yana ba da tallafi sunan ƙungiyar na ACReSAL. ACReSAL ɗin ce to oh Allah ka kawo mana shi wuri na mana sai ga shi ko Allah da ikonsa sai ga ACReSAL sun zo wajenmu. Aka kira ni aka ce to ni da ke roƙon Allah ya bani amma an ce in samu mutane 5 waɗanda hannunsu bai kai ba za a taimaka mana. Sai ga shi na yi noman abin da nake in samu buhu 1 buhu 2 a wurin nan sai na tashi da buhu 10.
ACReSAL Ijebu Ijewe ai chai nunu na ka kuna ilaje ka bwana icheje de kafa bofuguo nga icheje kango amagba nina Ijebu soko Ijewe ACReSAL e kafa na yeje gba ni bona Ijebu fushiba ibi gba ko bu fushiba nchon na ibi ekun ilikun na egiji afuma kanto imaje ona igala alo makanta na ijewe na igala alo makanta na hadi primary na aji ache gije galo la ti agagwani ka ajin ayabo pe ti be nchona Ijebu eje ACReSAL ike elishi ijini gba kogi iga ajije ani ga ma ko iga kun ya je ogije.
The intervention was a 6-month project that took place between July and December 2023. The project, in collaboration with Niger State Agricultural and Mechanization Development Agency, NAMDA, identified 100 vulnerable women in agriculture in 25 communities across the state and assisted them to access lands, funds, skills, tools, etc. They were also given bags of rice, soybeans, maize seedlings for planting. Through the intervention, the women's farming practices have improved with increased yield. The women have also been encouraged to expand the number of farmlands cultivated, enroll and send their children back to school, acquire more income, which has enabled them to support their husbands to bring more food to the table, hence improving their feeding status. Apart from the 100 direct beneficiaries, about 600 indirect beneficiaries have also been recorded. 10 hectares of farmland has been purchased, and they could purchase cows, sheep, and goats for fattening, purchase rice mill, cereals, and cassava grinding machines, and the opening of provision stores by women across communities.
Ijebu ACReSAL wona batana na ichejun le na tagutu ichejun amagba ni na won da kago egibe ni daga na la ACReSAL bi ayi na da kago egibe ni gba ni to gba ni na da sana ogun kago egibe ni na ayi taki shi a che ube taki shi to chigbe shi to de ka fo ezo shi
amagba ni ACReSAL bi ku àǹfààní je lati ani na ula shinkafa ani ula taki ani ula chigbe ewo ani nula chigbe ewo ani na mi cha dan lati mi chije na wallahi alhamdulillah mi je bo soko mi je tuchu ebo na mini àǹfààní na ACReSAL ani na mi je to àǹfààní je won jibo na to firidi na to shago de pe na to shago de pe na mi pe shago na mi am che kun provision na ji.
With the success of the intervention in the 25 communities, the intervention will be extended to support other women in the entire 25 local government areas of the state. Kaduna State has a history of floods that affected both urban and rural areas. The Kaduna metropolis witnessed frequent flash floods incidents, This flood was triggered by torrential rains and the release of water from dams, overflow of rivers and inadequate drainage systems, and poor maintenance, particularly in densely populated areas. When the floods occur, properties, animals, farmlands, and sometimes human lives are often destroyed. Heavy rain and blockage of drainage systems exacerbated the situation in urban areas like Tudunwada and Kongo in Zaria and Gwanrimi. The flood usually affected key infrastructure, including schools, major roads, and bridges. Faced with chronic flash floods during the rainy season,
Earlier on, there were a lot of havoc into the community, flooding inside their houses, in the streets, and all over, and causing, and by the riverside too, as well, causing a lot of damages and havoc to the communities around the riverside area.
ACReSAL's response was intervening by carrying out a comprehensive drainage clearance initiative spanning over 168 kilometers and covering over 26,000 hectares. The intervention began on 24th June 2024 and was concluded on 9th July 2024.
Alhamdulillahi gaskiya kafin zuwanku a baya, shekarun baya, ana fuskantar matsaloli da yawa. Daga cikin matsalolin tunda mu bangaren addini ne, zaka ga wani lokaci ruwa in yayi yawa a wasu hanyoyi, za ka ga yara ba su ma iya fitowa domin zuwa islamiyya. Sannan wani lokaci za ka ga akwai hanyoyin da bai ma iya yiwuwa a fita a je wato ainihin masallaci, wanda wani lokaci shekaru can baya akwai wuraren da har ruwa kan shiga cikin masallaci. To amma alhamdulillahi gaskiya daga baya an zo an yi aikace-aikace na magudanan ruwa inda ruwa ke bi ya dinga wucewa, wanda wannan gaskiya shekarun baya da dama a yanzu bayan an yi wannan aikace-aikacen ba a sami wato ainihin wannan matsalolin ba.
Lokacin da muka fara sana'a kafin ambaliya ya zo, muna ɗan samu, muna yin ciniki yana zuwa 20,000 ƙasa da shi sama da shi, amma da ambaliya ya zo ba ma yi, kasuwancin ya mutu saboda ba dama mu zauna a waje mai sana'a, muna shiga cikin gida ne. Amma yanzu da aka yi gyara, jama'a sun fara dawowa ana yin sana'a, muna ɗan yin zuwa sama da 25.
Since the clearance initiative, the reduction in flash floods has been remarkable. Not only have direct beneficiaries, over 20,000 residents, benefited, but the ripple effects touched countless others, including local businesses and agricultural workers. Children are back in school, even during the rainy season. In Jigawa State, Community Revolving Fund (CRF) story was the focus in Ringim and Hadeja watershed. The two watersheds play host to the 10 communities of about 110,000 people that benefited from the CRF pilot intervention in the state. The primary economic activities of the people within this belt center on farming and livestock rearing. The majority of farmers focus on wheat and rice production and processing. But rice production and processing farmers' value chain usually had very low output capacity, especially among the women farmers, who only had the capacity to process just a bag of rice paddy.
Muna yin wannan sana'ar shinkafa da muna yin kwano 10 kafin a tallafa mana wannan tallafi. Muna yin kwano 15 iyakacin bakin abin da muke yi kenan.
Asali ni manomi ne na gargajiya, wanda ban san komai ba, kawai noma muke na iyaye da kakanni. Kuma har nauyin gida ya zo ya hauni a matsayin ni ne magidanci. Amma noman da nake ba na iya ci da kai. Barantane har ya zama na wadatar da iyalina. A shekara nakan kasance sai na hada da hagu.
This is because of frequent flooding, lack of access to essential agricultural inputs. All these hindered productivity and good yields, as farmers here relied solely on old traditional methods, despite the availability of large farmlands. This poor productivity had forced some of the youth to migrate to southern parts of Nigeria in search of greener pastures after the rainy season. The CRF intervention by ACReSAL in the communities is designed to support small-scale farmers to optimize climate-smart agricultural production and processing activities. The intervention, which commenced in August and scheduled to conclude in January 2025, covers 10 pilot communities across 2 watersheds. Having been adequately trained on smart agriculture, the first batch of 50 CIGs benefited from the intervention, with 37 groups focused on rice production and 13 involved in processing activities.
Ƙara haskawa mutane yaya ma ake noma, tunda a baya muna noman da ya zamto kamar kame-kame. Za ka yi noma ne, ɗan guri za ka buɗe shi, ka yi noma, amma kuma sai zamto ba a abincinka ba ko kuma ba a kuɗaɗen kashewarka ba. Amma shigowar ACReSAL da yardar Allah, alhamdulillah yanzu idan aka leƙa nan haka za a ga gona ta yi kyau, to duk yana da ɗaya daga cikin tallafin da ACReSAL ta bayar.
Ba ma iya sarrafa shinkafar da ta haura buhu 2. Dole dai buhu ɗaya ce sai ka siyar ka samu wani kuɗin tukunna ka ƙara sarrafawa. Amma yanzu sakamakon tallafi da aka bamu na bashi na CRF, to mukan iya guma ma shinkafa buhu 4 zuwa 5. To mun samu ci gaba sosai.
A total of 925 beneficiaries are now cultivating 0.5 hectares each, contributing to a combined total of 462.5 hectares of agricultural output, bringing the total number of direct beneficiaries to 1,250, of which 64.4% are male and 35.6% are female. In all, the project has reached 1,250 direct beneficiaries and 6,000 indirect beneficiaries, with 60% being male and 40% being female. The intervention has served as a booster and encouragement for greater participation and inclusion of women in the project. It has also enhanced gender equity and contributes to more balanced and sustainable outcomes. Beyond offering entertainment and relaxation to tourists and educational visits by conservationists and other researchers, in its glory days, the Jos Wildlife Park also had a viable economy that offered jobs to local youth that were employed in various capacities and opportunities for commercial activities by petty traders and commodities vendors, especially during festive seasons, and importantly, it was a veritable source of IGR for the state through income from ticket sales. Over the years, however, patronage of the wildlife park dwindled.
The park has indeed suffered serious neglect because it hasn't been improved upon, especially in terms of the built-up facilities that have been at the park. We have not witnessed any major renovations of those facilities to the point where they have significantly decayed and become dilapidated.
While the tourism aspect has been neglected with its facilities and assets in utter disrepair, the conservation and preservation functions of the park have been abandoned, leaving the park at the mercy of intruders that engage in illegal activities that include mining, tree felling, illegal building of houses, farming, and poaching.
I started visiting Wildlife Park a very long time ago. In fact, I can trace it back 30 years. When it was opened, there were lots and lots of animals, all well fed. And as time goes on, the animals started, is it dying or going off? Because sometimes you come, you find them much, and another time you come, you wouldn't find any.
It is this present deteriorating state of the park that ACReSAL has decided to intervene in, with a view to restoring the park to its original purpose and former glory. The intervention at the Wildlife Park started in July 2023, with focus on serving the tripartite purpose of conservation, preservation, and tourism. The first intervention is the provision of uniforms for the park rangers, installation of solar streetlights throughout the park to address the lack of lighting in the evenings. The project also provided various working equipment for the park staff, including rain boots, 2 motorcycles for surveillance, and a generator to ensure a reliable power supply. This generator powers the computers also provided by ACReSAL for administrative tasks. In March 2024, ACReSAL launched a reforestation program within the park, planting variety of tree species across 15 hectares to enhance the ecosystem. The construction of a perimeter fence to protect the park from encroachment and poaching, a critical issue for the park's future. Renovation of some dilapidated office structures and significant progress has been made, with the park now taking a renewed appearance.
With this intervention now, seriously, we have water, we have tools, we have motorcycle for patrolling. But now, seriously, now we have seen changes with this intervention.
As of now, the project is about 30% complete, with an estimated completion date of June 2025. Feedback has been encouraging, with increased patronage at the park and surrounding communities benefiting from new boreholes providing water, eliminating water scarcity that had previously been a significant problem. This highlights the positive impact of ACReSAL's interventions. The park is on track to becoming a major attraction once again, with more animals and improved facilities. The future of Jos Wildlife Park is promising, as these interventions have not only enhanced the park's infrastructure, but also its appeal to tourists. The Yankari Game Reserve, located in Bauchi State, spans 2,244 square kilometers and is home to a diverse range of wildlife and plants. Established in 1956, it has become a top tourist destination, renowned for its natural warm water springs and savanna landscapes. However, from 2006, the state of the game reserve significantly declined due to neglect. Tourists' visit to the area was hindered by unreliable safari vehicles, untrained guides, and deteriorating facilities, including the famous Wiki Warm Springs. In April and May 2023, the Bauchi ACReSAL project initiated an overhaul at Yankari, addressing key issues. New game viewing trucks were provided. The Wiki Warm Spring facilities were rehabilitated, and rangers received uniforms, anti-poaching kits, and first aid measures. This intervention also sparked a new sense of purpose among staff to improve standards, with 150 rangers being trained with essential skills. This training greatly enhanced their ability to protect the reserve and engage with tourists more effectively.
The ACReSAL come to Yankari. They choose Yankari as the study site and brought us huge intervention. First one, which I am so glad and appreciate, was the training we received. They trained us before giving us the good news of all the gadgets.
Lokacin da muke aiki kafin zuwan ACReSAL ba mu da training, so da ACReSAL ta zo sai aka neme mu a Bauchi aka yi mana training. To a gaskiya wannan training din ya yi mana amfani kwarai da gaske yadda ba mu tsammani, saboda akwai abubuwan da muka karu da shi da yawa. Na farko ma tuku training din nan da aka yi mana ya kawo mana haɗin kai na mu ma'aikata, domin mun haɗu da waɗanda dama ba ma magana da su, ba sa magana da mu, amma training din nan ya haɗa mu a guda.
Beyond the equipment provided, the project also focused on long-term changes. Maintenance and repair costs are now part of the Bauchi State Ministry of Tourism budget, ensuring the longevity of improvements.
By so looking at the new brands of vehicles in Yankari donated by ACReSAL, it now makes people to keep on visiting the game reserve. Unlike before, because Safari is part of a research center that normally attracts students from different institutions. So since we don't have the vehicles, we are not capable of delivering the services. It led some of the higher institutions not to patronize the game reserve. But with these interventions, I'm giving assurance that 90% of our previous clients that normally come from different side stations have now started visiting Yankari Game Reserve.
Today, about 2,000 tourists visit Yankari Game Reserve monthly, generating economic opportunities for about 10,000 local individuals, including food vendors, photographers, and souvenir sellers, with tourism revenue now increased by 25%.
When I came this time around, I realized that there are changes in the game reserve. I have realized that in the water side, or what the swimming pool, what they call it there, I have realized that there is a renovation on the toilet facilities. They are dilapidated, almost 2 toilet facilities in the side, but I have seen that it was renovated. Then the snack shops there, they are to be renovated, and I have realized that there is a new viewing vehicles. And I even joined the vehicles for for viewing.
Rangers now patrol confidently using night vision goggles and modern torches. The ACReSAL intervention has set the foundation for Yankari's long-term success. A baseline study and a 10-year management plan between 2025 and 2035 are in development, ensuring the reserve's continued growth as a leading ecological and tourist destination. With the successes recorded so far from not only the 11 communities showcased, but across all participating 19 states and the FCT, the ACReSAL program has made great strides. The impacts made in the various communities have gone a long way to restoring degraded landscapes and improving lives in communities that had been neglected.